So according to the Wrap, it looks like James Gunn is on thin ice with DC after the colossal failure of Supergirl. Again, Supergirl came in way lower than anybody could have expected. It did 38 million. They were saying at the low end it was going to do 45 million. That was down from 55 million. And we see how these things go, right? That this movie, as the ticket sales did not roll in, the pre-sales did not roll in, we could see that this thing was going to be a huge turkey. And that is, not because of the quality of the movie per se, but just people did not have a lot of interest in it. And look, I'm going to be honest here, guys. You can't be out there saying shit like this that's going to be taken out of context when you're trying to promote a movie. We had Millie Alcock out there saying things about, men are going to be angry, the Christian dads are going to be angry, blah, 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 blah. If you don't see this movie, you're a misogynist, blah, 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 blah. Made the rounds, told men to basically stay home. And meanwhile, we're getting articles like this from Screen Rant, of all places. I took my young daughter to Supergirl, and I regret it. Yes, she took her 13-year-old daughter to go see Supergirl, and because it dealt with death and sex trafficking, she's like, oh my God, what did I just step into? She probably was thinking it's going to be like Superman, but with a girl, and that's not what it was. It was Furiosa in space, and we did a review, and it wasn't the worst thing ever, but it definitely was not a Supergirl movie, and it definitely was not even in the ballpark of the comic book, the Woman of Tomorrow comic it's based on. I mean, that was a very colorful book, very beautiful artwork, and this was a drab, dingy, like Mad Max movie. Just a very weird choice, and James Gunn's fingerprints were all over this one. I mean, he even said that the song at the end, which I'll spoil it for you guys, there's like one or two big action sequences in the movie. And at the end, Supergirl, when she finally, after 2 hours of just pissing around, is able to be Supergirl and be at full power, she takes out the bad guys in like 30 seconds flat. That's why we couldn't have her, fully powered throughout the whole movie. But they play a very mid acoustic cover of The Middle by Jimmy Eat World. It's like some country twangy thing. And I'm like, what? And that was all James Gunn. James Gunn said they tried out like 45 different songs. So his fingerprints are all over this thing. And now he's in the hot seat. And I'm sorry. I know people are trying to say that him and Peter Safran, that they're safe. It's all good over there. The Ellisons are coming. And once the ink is dry on that contract, I can almost guarantee you they're going to take a look at this and be like, yeah, we rebooted DC, or Warner Brothers rebooted DC because we felt that the DCEU was not performing, the Snyderverse was not performing very well, and you're doing worse. You're doing worse than the Snyderverse. In fact, you're doing worse than Morbius. That's pretty awful. So we're going to take a look at this article and see what they have to say. And this is kind of backing up what Cosmic Book News has been saying. Now, this is a huge, huge rumor. It's a huge rumor. So I mean, I can't sign off on this, but the pieces are all there. They've been saying for months that basically Zack Snyder and the Saudis are waiting in the wings to take DC back if James Gunn scrubs out. And it sounds far-fetched, but Snyder is partying with the Saudis, and the Saudis are buying into Warner Brothers, and James Gunn's DCU reboot is failing miserably. Now, I don't know how the Superman movie is going to do, but I'm thinking it might just be a super trilogy, and then he's super done. Because the Ellisons are all about the money, and they are not. They're not going to keep bankrolling or subsidizing movies that don't perform. I covered this morning that Comcast is scraping DreamWorks and NBC and Universal off the bottom of their boot. That's Comcast, because they don't want to bankroll shit either that doesn't perform. And the Ellisons are going to look at it and be like, yeah, you know what? People don't like this version of DC. Superman did okay. But is that all you got? Is every DC movie going to be a freaking Guardians of the Galaxy movie? I mean, are we going to get down to business here? And Peacemaker's already canceled. People aren't too excited about Lanterns. Creature Commandos, is that still going? Who cares? I just think I really do think he's going to have these 3 super movies and that's going to be it. But I could be wrong. I mean, who knows? Maybe the Ellisons like burning money. So let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, rants, guys. If you'd like more Clownfish TV, go out to more.clownfishtv.com. That's more.clownfishtv.com for more Clownfish TV videos and podcasts you will not find anywhere else. Also, go out to Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. Subscribe to Clownfish TV podcasts. Help us out over there on the audio side. If you want to listen to the audio version of us, that is where you do it. You will never miss an episode because, automatically downloads episodes on iTunes. Unlike YouTube. YouTube, you have to fight. You have to fight to get found. So let's talk about this. Coming from The Wrap, where does DC go after Supergirl? Box office crash analysis. All right, so they said that DC fans know the story. Snyder relaunched DC with the largely well-received Man of Steel, only for the follow-up film in his interconnected DC universe, Batman vs. Superman, to be pummeled by critics and suffer a box office drop. Trouble is Snyder's stumble didn't come amidst Paramount's $111 billion acquisition of Warner Brothers Discovery, a deal that opens up the door to yet another shakeup. Snyder would later tussle with M&A drama of his own during 2017's Justice League, with AT&T in the middle of acquiring Warner Brothers back then. Nobody wants these Hollywood studios. You ever notice that? It's like hot potato. They buy them for a while. I don't know if they buy them for tax reasons. Like, we're making too much money. Quick, buy a failing movie studio so we can lose some money and save some money on taxes. I have no idea. But I do know the Ellisons, financially, they're not going to put up with this shit. They're not going to put up with it. They're going to be like, yeah, the Supergirl movie did less than Morbius. That's not going to fly here. No pun intended. She doesn't fly. She doesn't fly very much because she's depowered throughout most of the movie. Like, who makes a Supergirl movie where Supergirl's not allowed to be super? I'm just saying. They said Supergirl has reported budget of $170 million, and insiders say the movie needs to hit $350 million to break even. That is not going to happen. Given the poor reviews and the current box office, that number looks like it will be very hard to reach. It will be impossible. They said the $38 million domestic box office is just above Birds of Prey, which opened at $33 million and managed $205 million worldwide. Birds of Prey opened during the pandemic, too. It was like right before the pandemic, if I remember correctly. So at least they have an excuse. They said Supergirl is performing more like the latter DC films that marked the end of the previous regime's reign. Blue Beetle opened at $23 million and only grossed $131 million worldwide. Wow. The Flash opened to $55 million, grossed just $271 million, and that's with Michael Keaton Batman. And I forgot how much I hated that movie. I went and watched some clips because I was trying to compare the Supergirl in that movie, the alternate universe Supergirl, to this Supergirl, and actually she wasn't bad. That version of Supergirl, I didn't think it was that terrible. But by God, I watched a scene with her and Ezra Miller, and it just tonally was like, what the hell? It was like Ezra Miller was almost there. It was almost like Mystery Science Theater, like adding lib about how dumb superheroes were and making jokes and shit that were completely inappropriate. And she's like completely straight-faced. And my God, I forgot how much I hated Ezra Miller. Just beyond all the sex pest stuff and the creepy cult stuff and all the accusations, just his version of Barry Allen is not only is it not Barry Allen, I don't know what the hell it is. It's like off-brand Pee Wee Herman, except R.I.P. Pee Wee, you were great. He's not. It was horrible. Like, that movie was terrible. It had a couple of good moments, but my God, every time Ezra Miller shows up in the movie about him, it ruins the movie. Just saying. Those numbers raise serious questions about the future of Gunn's DC cinematic universe under a new regime. His approach of highlighting lesser-known comic book characters, which worked for Guardians of the Galaxy, doesn't have the same appeal at a time when mainstream fans are growing weary of comic book adaptations. We're probably looking at a time when we're going to go back to what works. So it's going to be Spider-Man and Batman and Superman. And that's how it was for years. And then, Disney, it's not even Disney. Paramount got lucky. Paramount got lucky with the MCU, and then Disney milked it, but then they started bringing in all these like D-list characters and stuff too. The only reason they did Guardians of the Galaxy is they pretty much exhausted every other character they still had the rights to, because the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, and Spider-Man were all tied up. So they went with the Guardians of the Galaxy, somehow made a decent movie out of that. somehow. But again, that was a one-off. And I did like James Gunn's Suicide Squad. I thought that was actually pretty good. I think if he did a standalone Harley Quinn movie, it might actually be pretty good. But you can't apply the James Gunn Photoshop filter to every superhero movie. It does not work. It works when he's dealing with like a band of misfits or something that's a little offbeat. I would say James Gunn is like the Vertigo to the main DC comics, right? Tonally, his stuff is very off kilter. It works for those kind of characters. I don't think it's a good fit for Superman, Supergirl, Batman, the mainline guys. It's just his tastes are weird. He's very he's got weird tastes. Sometimes it works. They said to make matters worse, Supergirl received a B- cinema score, indicating that even the hardcore fans that showed up didn't really care for the movie. Yeah, no, it was a Supergirl movie. It wasn't a Supergirl movie. It was a Mad Max movie with a character called sometimes Supergirl. Its box office trajectory only gets tougher next week because Minions and Monsters comes out. Yeah, it's gonna die next week. Well, not directed by Gunn, Supergirl was chosen by him, and Safran is the second DC movie. The next movie, Clayface, is a scaled down horror movie that opens this fall. That one might actually be pretty good, but you can't build a universe off of Clayface. Industry insiders who spoke to the Wrap say the problems run deeper than one underperforming film. All this is a Gunn and Safran production deal. One DC insider said of DC Films' current trajectory. It's not a brand. Announcing a universe was dumb, yes. DC created an expectation, and now you have delivered one Superman movie. Yes. I think that he's going to wind up doing a Superman trilogy, and that's going to be it. That's my opinion. So with the merger looming, they said a top agent questioned whether Gunn survives the fallout. I don't know how nervous DC is, but certainly James Gunn should be nervous, the agent said. There will always be a DC, and the current execs have survived previous regime changes, but I don't think Gunn survives. This is coming from a top agent in Hollywood, and I don't see any scenario where he survives, and he's probably going to butt heads with the Ellisons just on an ideological level because they are huge Trump supporters, and as we know, he got shit canned, over making comments a couple of years ago. Then they brought him back. But yeah, a Warner Brothers insider pushed back on concern over Gunn and Safran's larger strategy or any potential leadership changes, reiterating they have a 10-year plan. And Supergirl was just a single film miss. But it's your second movie. And Peacemaker's already shit the bed. That's not good. I'm sorry. I don't care if you're a big James Gunn fan. That's not good. And I'm not a Snyder bro. I just want to reiterate, I'm not a huge Snyder fan. I liked Wonder Woman. I liked Aquaman. I thought Justice League, the Snyder cut, was vastly superior to the original, but I'm not a big fan of just the grimdark all the way around, right? I think it's really, really intense. Although I will say Ben Affleck Batman is the most comic book accurate Batman we've ever had. And he needed to be in more solo movies. We needed a whole Ben Affleck Batman comic book, somewhat accurate trilogy. That would have been great. That would have been fantastic. Actually square off against a proper Joker because, of course we had Jared Leto's Joker and he was pure ass. But if we had, do 3 Jokers. If we had Ben Affleck Batman against a proper Joker, that would have been awesome. That would have been money in the bank. But nope. Can't do that. Demographic data bears this out. 59% of the opening weekend Supergirl audience was male and 65% was over the age of 25. Yeah, kids didn't go see it, and the kids that went to go see it took my daughter. That was a huge mistake. I shouldn't have. Gen Z women. The target demographic for Supergirl, Gen Z women, did not show up. Supergirl missed on a lot of levels, the Warner Brothers insider acknowledged, while another studio insider underline the biggest problem. You can't launch a non-A-tier superhero with a budget this big anymore. The bar for profitability is too high. So they're saying there could be another reboot. And this is what Cosmic Book News has been talking about. Now, that doesn't mean Zack Snyder's coming back. That doesn't mean they're going to continue the Snyderverse because a lot of those guys are getting up there in age, right? But I do think they're going to reboot it. So yeah, this is just it's not working out. It's not working out. This whole article is damn, this is not working. I mean, the one-off Superman movie, maybe, They said Superman was a success. It did 618 million worldwide. It still did less than a lot of the Snyder movies. I'm just saying, like, that's kind of a new reality now. You're not going to make $1 billion on every superhero movie, but still. Penguin was a critical and commercial hit for HBO. The second season of Peacemaker failed to make much of a splash, despite positive reviews. The Brave and the Bold, a fresh take on Batman, focusing on his relationship with the young Robin. It'd be Damian this time, I guess. And originally, the second film in the lineup was announced in 2023, but has yet to materialize. Instead, the Batman Part 2 is coming out. This is part of the problem right here, too, is like DC needs to get its ducks in a row. I am really tired of like 15 different continuities going on. They got like TV shows over here in the CW. That's one continuity. And then we got Gotham over here, and that's a different continuity. Then we got these movies, the Snyder movies over here, and that's a different continuity. Now we're doing the Batman, and that's a different continuity, and the James Gunn Superman movies, and that's a different continuity. You know, like, come on. Come on. Yeah. So then they're talking about Supergirl. What went wrong? A lot of things went wrong. They said the biggest star in Supergirl was Jason Momoa, who's in it for like 5 minutes. They said the scathing reviews for Supergirl didn't help. The Raps critic who dinged the muddled action and casual sexism of Momoa's Lobo. Then Clayface. Yeah, so everybody's looking at Clayface is what they're saying. I think they're going to reboot DC again. I think Gunn is going to be out. That's my personal opinion. I don't know if Snyder's coming back, but I think he's done. And they're already out there doing damage control. Like Saffron's like, it's okay. We have lots of faith in DC and everything's fine, guys. It's all fine. It's not fine. It's not fine. It's I think if the next Superman movie is a huge misfire, again, they're not going to cancel it. It's already filming, although they did cancel Batgirl. So who the hell knows? But they're already filming it. It's already going to happen, definitely. But beyond that, I think they're going to push pause on any future DC projects until they see how Superman 2 does. And if Superman 2 is also a disappointment, I think it's over. I think it's over for James Gunn. Anyway, go wrap it up. Please subscribe. We'll talk later.